Don't forget about the rules that you set in place and remembering why you set those rules. You didn't do it to be an asshole. That's what people don't get when you set boundaries with them. I'm not setting these boundaries with you to be an asshole or to be a dickhead or just to do it to be doing it. I'm doing this to protect me. I'm doing this so I can be a better version for you. I'm doing this because if I don't do this, I'm gonna lose my mind because I'm stretching myself so thin. I can't be the best version of myself. The last time I didn't set a boundary with you, I let you run all over me. I let you get whatever you wanted. And I was so blinded by my love for you and my happiness and the happiness that I saw you had that I didn't even realize how I was letting you get over on me. I didn't even realize how you were manipulating me. I didn't even realize how you were talking me into the things that you wanted. I didn't even realize the mind games you were playing with me because all I was worried about is making sure that you were okay. Hey, what's going on, man? This is Will Z Tidwell with SpeakUPZee, and you're now tuned in to another episode of SpeakUPZee, the podcast. A podcast where we talk about real things with real people, everything from life to business to mental health and everything else in between. Um, Man, I'm super excited to be here with you guys tonight. And of course, the most important thing is continuing to cultivate and build and manage on that relationship with God every single day. Um, I really enjoyed reading my scripture today, and there were so many great takeaways. But I kind of want to expound on something that we were already talking about a few days back, where I talked about stop feeling bad for having boundaries in your life. And I want to kind of share something that I wrote that kind of made me think about an experience I went through recently that made me kind of, add to that writing or expound on that thought. And I want you to hear this real quick. Listen to this. I said, stop renegotiating when it comes to your boundaries with hopes that you'll be able to make other people happy or with hopes that you'll be able to keep them in your life. But isn't that what we do sometimes too? Not only do we feel bad, first of all, for having the boundary, for setting the boundary, we feel it feels weird and awkward already because we're so used to letting the people that we love and care about kind of do what they want in our life, right? Not having any parameters with those people. We already do that enough. So when we finally set the boundary, that feels bad enough. But then what happens is once we actually are bold enough and courageous enough to set the boundary with those people, no matter how much we love them, then what we start doing is we start renegotiating. We start trying to restructure things. We start going back on our word and we start saying, well, I'll give them a pass this time. And next thing you know, those boundaries that you worked so hard to set, next thing you know, they're gone. Next thing you know, you're right back in that same old cycle that you have been in for so long that you fought so hard to get out of with that person. And I think the reason why we do that is very simple. It goes back to what I just said when I said the reason we should stop doing it. 9 times out of 10, the reason why we renegotiate on our habits or renegotiate on our boundaries is the reason why we renegotiate on those things is because one, we're so hell bent on trying to keep other people happy that you say, you know what, I'll bend the rules for them just a little bit, just so I can see them happy, just so they won't be upset with me. Because something I learned about myself is that I'm a people pleaser. I try to be the nice guy. But it's commending and dope as it is to be a people pleaser sometime and to be the nice guy and be the one that people know is going to be kind and is going to do everything he can for the people that he loves. Sometimes it also can backfire on you. Because sometimes you can be so hell-bent on consistently being seen as the nice guy or the nice woman or the one that loves so hard or the one that, just want to make sure everybody else is happy, that you forget about the reason you set the boundaries in the first place, because when you weren't setting the boundaries, you forgot about how miserable you were. And it taught me that, man, being a people pleaser always isn't a good thing. Always caring about what other people think so much isn't always a good thing. Hardly ever, actually. Being afraid that they're going to leave you just because you stand on your boundary and you stand on your word and you stick beside the thing you believe in. Being worried that they're going to leave you, and that's the reason why you choose to renegotiate your boundaries. That's not a good thing. And if you got to walk on eggshells with the people that are supposed to love you, that are supposed to care about you, that are supposed to be in your corner, just because you said, I'm going to stand on what I believe in and I'm not going to bend it, even for you. If they leave you because of that, all that boundary did is push the person out of your life that didn't respect you to begin with. Or they loved when you didn't have the boundary so much because every time you didn't have a boundary or set a boundary with that person, it benefited them. And now that there's no benefit anymore, now you're upset with me. Now you talking about me. Now you leaving out of my life. Now you don't want nothing to do with me anymore. Because for me, if a person can just do that to me, then it's gonna make me question, like, damn, did you ever really love me to begin with? Or was the love only as strong as the benefits were? Or was the love only strong as the convenience that I gave you? Or was the love only as strong as um the things that I did for you? And when I finally decide that certain things I'm not going to do anymore, certain things I'm not going to put up with anymore, certain things I'm not going to agree with anymore, I'm going to start speaking my mind more. I'm going to start letting you know how I feel, no matter how it makes you feel. I'm going to be respectful, but I'm going to speak my mind. And if that makes you feel away, then let's have a conversation about it. Let's get to the bottom of it. Don't just leave. Don't just walk out of my life. But I'm not going to keep renegotiating with you. I'm not going to keep going back on my word. I'm not going to keep going back on my boundaries just to please all of these different people and just to hope that you're going to stay in my life. Because now I'm stretching myself thin. Now I'm putting myself through another form of misery. And I'm going to end up miserable just like I was before I set the boundaries. And there's just no way to live. So for this part two, on one hand, I need you to remember that stop feeling bad for having the boundary. I know it's weird. I know it's not something that you're used to. Setting these parameters with people in your business, in your life, in your relationships. I know it's weird. Stop feeling bad for having it. And then two, stop feeling bad and stop negotiating and renegotiating when you enforce the boundary that you set. Because somebody told me something the other day that really stuck with me, man. It really hit me deep, actually. Somebody I really care about. They told me that it says, Z, you always, setting these rules and these boundaries, but I'm really not listening to you because you never follow them to begin with. And to be honest, it woke me up, man. And it made me realize how many times in my life that I've gone back on my word and I've gone back on what I believed in, and I did things I really wasn't comfortable with, and I did things that I really didn't even really care for just to make other people happy, just to see them pleased, just to see them smile. And when you're a people pleaser and you're a person that loves to make other people happy, you're so fixated on their smile and their happiness and the way that they're glowing from the sacrifice you made that you really didn't want to make, but you made it just for them, that you can't even recognize the frown on your own face. You can't even recognize how down you feel. You forget that how many things you put on the back burner for those people or for that situation, things that you might end up forgetting about forever. All because you were so hell bent on renegotiating with them. So this is a reminder for you to don't forget about your boundaries. Don't forget about the rules that you set in place and remembering why you set those rules. You didn't do it to be an asshole. That's what people don't get when you set boundaries with them. I'm not setting these boundaries with you to be an asshole or to be a dickhead or just to do it to be doing it. I'm doing this to protect me. I'm doing this so I can be a better version for you. I'm doing this because if I don't do this, I'm gonna lose my mind because I'm stretching myself so thin. I can't be the best version of myself. The last time I didn't set a boundary with you, I let you run all over me. I let you get whatever you wanted. And I was so blinded by my love for you and my happiness and the happiness that I saw you had that I didn't even realize how I was letting you get over on me. I didn't even realize how you were manipulating me. I didn't even realize how you were talking me into the things that you wanted. I didn't even realize the mind games you were playing with me because all I was worried about is making sure that you were okay. And you had me so fixated on that I went blind to all the other signs. See, don't let them make you feel bad for that. Don't make them make you feel bad for that because if they leave, then all that did was just let you know, oh, you can't take advantage of me anymore. That's why you left. Now that I set my boundaries, you can't walk all over me anymore. You can't just pop in and out of my life when you want anymore. And this is the other side of that coin too. When you're the person that they start setting boundaries with, don't be mad. Respect those. And if it's something that you really can't agree with, man, because sometimes what it is that we operate out of trauma and we operate out of our past and we operate out of past pain. And sometimes when we operate from those things, we set boundaries, not from a healthy place, but from a hurt place. And sometimes the boundaries can be so I won't say outrageous, but I'll say that the boundaries that we set sometimes because of where we set them from out of our heart, they can be a bit over the top sometimes. They're not reasonable. Now, if that comes to that situation, then maybe that's a conversation that can be had. Maybe that's a way we can meet in the middle on that. Maybe then you can get them to see from your point of view that I want to respect your boundary, but is there a way we could, you know, because that's what we have to be careful with is where we operate from when we set the boundary. Did it come from a healthy place or a hurt place? Did it come from a healthy place or a place of pettiness? Did it come from a healthy place or did it come from a place of get back? Did it come from a healthy place or did it come from a place of vindication? Like, where did it come from? Was it vindictive? You know what I mean? And when a person sets that boundary with you, don't take it personally. Because clearly they're at a point in their life where they're having to make some changes and do some things differently in order to accomplish the thing they're trying to accomplish, in order to find the peace of mind that they haven't been able to find, or just to be able to get back to them. And you got to be willing to understand that for them. I've had to do it too. Like there are people in my life that I love and care about dearly, but they had to tell me that, hey, I got to set some boundaries with you. And I'm not gonna lie, you a human being, so you're gonna be frustrated. You might feel a way. That's natural when a person sets a boundary with you. But eventually, when you sit back and you think about it, and especially if they explained it to you and were mature about it and communicated to you properly why they're doing what they're doing, we really can't get mad because if you were in their shoes, there's a possibility you would have did the same thing. And if you really love them, if you really care about them, there's no boundary that they can set that's worth losing them out of your life. So, on one hand, if you're the person setting the boundaries, don't be ashamed of your boundaries and stop renegotiating about your boundaries, especially if you're operating out of a healthy place when you set them. Now, if you know you set those boundaries out of a hurt place, maybe you need that for the time being just so you can begin the healing process. But sometimes we can be a little irrational. We all can as human beings. But on the other hand, when a person sets the boundaries with you, try to understand why they did it. Try to put yourself in their shoes as to why they've been getting ran over and taken advantage of and used and abused and misused. And hopefully then you'll be able to see why they had to start to set this line in their life for people, including you. And if anything, what it should do is not make you upset or make you feel away, but maybe should inspire you and make you realize that you might need to go through your Rolodex of inventory of people in your life and do the same thing. So don't take it personal. Maybe you need to learn from it. So stop renegotiating your boundaries just to keep people happy and just to keep people in your life. Because what you'll end up doing, you're so fixated on trying to keep them happy and keep them in your life that now you're miserable again and you don't even recognize your life. And it can happen so quick where you won't even realize it's happening. I just don't want that for you. That's my piece for tonight, man. I don't want to get too long winded. I really hope it helped. I hope I made some sense. I hope I spoke some life into you, man. And until next time, man, let's speak up to the podcast, man. I love y'all so much. Peace. Hey, what's up? This is Will Z Tidwell with SpeakUPZee. And I just want to take a quick second just to thank you for tuning in to this latest episode of SpeakUPZee, the podcast. And my only goal with this platform is to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you around all things life, business, and mental health, whether it's myself or me bringing on a special guest. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in. We don't ask for any type of monetary gains or anything like that. The best thing you could do for us is just like and subscribe to the channel. Until next week, we'll see y'all later. Peace.